lower the music down here in the coffee shop, but
I think you're good. All right, guys, welcome to the Tuesday Live. We are on to, I would have done this last week, but I already had a really good guest scheduled for last week. But we're on with Sonny Puzikas from the Gospel of Violence podcast and Forward Training Concepts, as well as John Willis from Special Operations Equipment. I'm Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee, and we say that every week, so hopefully you know who we are at this point. But Sonny, what are you seeing out in the world after the last, I don't know, 10 days or so? How's this looking to you?
If I was going really, really scriptural in this, I would say that we're seeing the first signs of him coming back for the second time. But it's a big mess. It's a big mess, and I think it's going to get bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're done yet. That's for sure.
No, far from it. It's looking at a lot of signs that they're projecting out there as far as who's to blame and little snippets here and there of Iran and this and that. I think that we are heading for some very interesting things, and sounds very conspiratorial, I know, but I'm not. I don't think anything is outside of realm of possibilities now.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the people who the day before sold all their stock options on Truth Social and Rumble, and they said it was supposed to be 1,200, but they did 12 million options. They literally liquidated 60% of their portfolio. There's just some wild shit. Just people. How could you not be involved? That you just randomly the day before, made these moves. It's very crazy, and maybe somebody will be called on it, but maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think the adventures of that nature, what we saw on that day in Pennsylvania, I hate to say it, but I think something else is brewing along the same lines. I think something else is brewing.
So let's just talk about it, because we don't need to talk around it. Somebody tried to shoot Donald Trump, guys. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
There I was at SOE, and somebody said it, and it was funny because people around me didn't believe it. I instantly believed it, and I'm like, let me see that video. And then John disappeared, and he went live for a while. But Sonny, you put out the best analysis early on that I thought. So just tell us what you initially thought when you saw that had gone down.
Well,
watch the video.
First of all, Nicole, I knew that a lot of people, especially folks on the left, will go like, this is staged, this is a red flag. The way it happened, and as soon as I saw the video, I'm like, no matter how much you try to pull this off, if you were to stage something like that, you can't. It was too random. There were too many variables in there to pull off the perfect red flag, false flag attack. So second thing that immediately, many years ago, I was professionally doing personal protection, the bodyguard work for a number of years. And it was glaring oversights, even at the level of corporate personal protection, which doesn't even come close to what Secret Service should be, what level Secret Service should be working at. The availability of high points that are not occupied and not under full-time surveillance, and not just surveillance, but actionable surveillance, meaning that not someone is not scanning it, but someone has it, that high point in their crosshairs if needed. That was just, you look at it and you go like, dude, we were doing, corporate protection during, let's say, some labor disputes or whatnot. We would pay attention to something like that, where there was no really, high possibility or risk that CEO will be assassinated by a damn sniper or whatnot, right? You're looking at the dude that's probably the highest profile target in this country, if not the world. Days away from the Republican National Convention. With all the other noise happening, I go like, this is not random oversight. This is not incompetence. This is by design. There is no other way to put it. That it's inside job. It's inside job for them to be that blatantly not covering things that I pointed out. And there's more to that, but in that post that Nicole refers to, this cannot happen without the higher ups actually having their finger on the button, and people on the ground being told, you go here, you go there, you do this, you don't do that.
Did you watch any of the hearings with Cheadle yesterday?
No, I read transcripts. I didn't have time to watch it, but I read the transcripts, and it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? The comedy of sloped roof, the comedy of miscommunications with local law enforcement, the comedy of many things that's DI, boss said. It's ridiculous. Anyone who's been in protection business for freaking 12 months, listening to it, you would go like, do you think we're stupid? And she does. They all do.
And then the other hand is just possible straight incompetence on some of their behalf as well.
There was some of that, but now there's quite a bit of noise going about possibility there was a secondary shooter or whatnot. Looking at that, if there was a secondary shooter, he had all the chances to take the shot. For whatever reason, if there was a secondary shooter, shot was not taken. So that makes me question that.
There's a lot of sound analysis running around that's pretty wild, and it's not dudes like you and I making YouTube videos off some shit we heard. Like those are real, like, forensic sound analysis dudes doing some crazy videos. They're saying 3 different. I mean, just like the stuff you saw in the Las Vegas shooting.
Yeah,
they're gonna throw so much bullshit in there to convolute it. Even when you pinpoint what the truth is, you're never gonna know that it's the truth.
No, I mean they have means to hide it. They have executive powers and government powers to suppress that information, and under different pretexts, for security reasons, for this and that. They'll throw all that shit at us, and we're just gonna nod our heads and go like, yep. And then people like us will be called crazy conspiracy theorists, and we don't have any concrete information to back up what we're saying. And these folks, they sitting on all of that information. I'm pretty sure they have the information from his electronic devices, all of it, and it's supposedly it's encrypted. Whether it wasn't, we won't really know. They won't tell us.
Well, they've got drones and they've got balloons above. I mean, they had Kyle Rittenhouse 100% on video, as if they were 2 feet in front of him. I mean,
I know, right?
They have that shit sitting at 30,000, always, every time.
For Trump rally, they didn't have air assets. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break that for Trump rally, they didn't have air assets. But publicly, I don't believe any of that will ever come out.
No.
And this is where it's going to leave people like us, to some folks looking stupid and looking, oh, look, and yeah, we can go back and go like, remember our crazy conspiracy theories about the pandemic, remember about the elections, remember about that. All of that came true, and then some.
And he was involved and he was even complacent in a lot of that. Both sides. It's both sides. I mean, they do a good job at getting you to pick a side, and they don't care which side you're on. They just need you on a side.
They just need a close to even split. That way you can keep the flames burning.
Have they come out and said that Biden has passed? Have they admitted that, or do we know?
No, I guess the rumor that Landfill was talking about is that he's on his deathbed. So it's like they're foreshadowing it right now, just like they foreshadowed him stepping down this weekend.
Yeah, that came out 2 days ago. I guess they diverted from Las Vegas to his main hospital, is what they were saying. He was supposed to be flying into Vegas a couple of days when the story broke. You had people in Congress asking for proof of life by 5 p.m. yesterday, and that's come and gone, and there's nothing. And then you have Kamala Harris saying, are you still on the recording? And she slips up and says recording, and says, are you still on the audio? When he's say, I'm with you, kid. It's like they got that easy button that just says the 5 random things.
Yeah.
The Joe Biden the Hallmark book card that you record into.
I don't know. To me, the biggest sign of that, and I don't know authenticity of it, but I saw supposedly a document from the White House that President Joseph Biden has delegated significant powers to Secretary of Treasury and Secretary of State when it comes to the whole Ukraine thing. And I'm thinking if that document indeed is authentic, for sitting president to delegate powers on the question that is teetering on the brink of World War III to other executives within the administration, that kind of tells the story that that president, he didn't even write the whole thing because he's incapable, or there is just overt coup happening.
Well,
Yeah.
and if he's really debilitated, who is supposed to step into his office right now? Death to Pedo says he's supposed to talk tonight. The references I was seeing is tomorrow night. So that's something I'm not like, that just got posted recently that he's going to address about his stepping down from the White House. So
Yeah.
if somebody can double check the date on that, I thought it was tomorrow.
Another man in a mask. He'll have some weird wrinkles on his neck.
Yeah. But go ahead.
I just saw someone ask the question, what are our enemies thinking? I'm going to answer it directly and maybe going to upset some people. Our enemies are not in Beijing, Moscow, or Tehran. Our enemies are right here in freaking DC. These are the most dangerous, the most direct, the imminent threat enemies. They're sitting right there. If you think that Iranians, Chinese, or Russians are just, rubbing their hands going, oh yeah, we're going to take over America, let me use the word, you're stupid. It's not happening. No one is that crazy, and it really is impossible to achieve, no matter how much chaos is happening in Washington, D.C. or whatnot. This is inside job. This is not outside powers.
You had Netanyahu come into the United States. Nobody received him. Kamala Harris wasn't there. Biden wasn't there. Meanwhile, I mean, you back up 6 months, Xi Jinping came in and they had a whole fucking parade for that dude in California. They wiped out all the homeless. All those homeless have never come back either. I'm curious where all those people went.
Maybe we exported them to China.
That's what I believe. That's
Yeah, but the whole thing where they're trying, even immediately after Trump shooting, where there were a couple articles I saw that, I wonder if those communication devices, there's some information that he has accounts in foreign banks and
they're saying 3
cryptocurrency and all that stuff. And even in those articles, people are starting to connect, it's probably Iranian hand because Iran has a contract, so to speak, on Trump for killing the Soleimani, right? And I go like, are we running short on wars? We need a new war. That way we can try to yell at the nation, hey, we need to unify behind our leaders because we have this existential war with Iran.
I mean, historically speaking, the more fronts that nations have fought on, the less likely they are to fall, right?
Well, that's not how Iran or any of those Middle East countries would do that anyways. That's not what that attack would look like. And it wouldn't be.
People don't realize Iran actually benefits from United States being somewhat stable. They don't have benefit from United States being unstable. Neither does Russia, neither does China. They may be laughing with some chaos going on, but none of them would benefit from United States descending into complete chaos. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Do you think all those countries you named, were they better off 4 years ago, or are they better off now?
Absolutely better 4 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is one of those double-edged swords that they throw back at Trump. They go like, because, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, our proclaimed enemies, right? Oh, so look, our enemies like Donald Trump, but dislike Joe Biden. Joe Biden is more American. He's more American patriot. He's more about our good, while Donald Trump is the puppet of Moscow, Beijing, and I go like, are we that dumb? I mean, you need to talk to people that have nuclear fucking weapons. It just makes sense, because if you don't talk to them, slinging those weapons becomes somewhat of a higher probability. You know what I mean? So there is no betrayal in it that he goes and meets with the freaking rocket man in North Korea. It's doing your job as a politician. It's doing your job in foreign relations and keeping shit under wraps, so to speak, somewhat controlled. So interesting times we live in, indeed.
Yep. I haven't seen the progressive left communications machine ratchet up in such direct calls for violence since when the unvaccinated were being set aside as the people who should be dehumanized.
I think we're still in the early
Until
stages.
now, like they've just ratcheted up that again too.
I think it's going to triple, quadruple, and more so in the coming weeks and months. I think it will. I think we're going to see something that Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin will probably be rolling in their graves with envy, going like, "Damn, we wish we had such a rabid followers when we were in power."
Yeah, it's lockstep, and it's actually very unified around the Project 2025 stuff from Heritage Foundation.
Yeah.
Have you read it?
I haven't read the whole thing. I've started reading it because all of those memes coming out, I'm trying to verify facts because the people sharing those are not.
Did you see anything crazy in there?
Not yet, because I worked with the Heritage Foundation for years.
Right.
So it's not anything different than they've been saying. Like, do they want to get rid of the Department of Education?
Yep. Thomas Massey put that bill forward. I didn't see any problems. We read off, I think there was 10, 15 points in there. We read them off a couple of weeks ago on one of our podcasts, and Brandel was reading them. And I said, I don't see a problem with that. Okay, next one. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. But you hear things from the other side. I see this dude who's a lawyer, black guy. He's like, here's the problem. I go, okay, here's going to be the meat and potatoes. Let's hear their perspective on it. Perceived racism, right? You can't prove racism, but because it was a black person in this job, we can use perceived racism. And they I'd never even heard that fucking term before. But all I thought is, man, you seem really difficult as a employee. It's like the vegan. I don't care if you're vegan, but if you've got to tell me 5 times when I meet you, I definitely don't want to be around you because you're too difficult to be around. I don't want to cater to your meal. I definitely don't want you around me in my close circle. And it's the same thing with a CrossFitter, any of them. I mean, we know what you are. You don't need to make that the opening sentence to every conversation we have. And that's that same thing. I mean, that the perceived racism, like I've never had to deal with anything like that, but I could see the problems with it, right? And that's every time I watch these videos all the way through about what the problem is with this 25 thing, but it's never there when I watch the video. I'm like, I don't see, I read it. It's not in there, most of the stuff that they're putting forward. And if you look who's pushing and I haven't fleshed this out either, but it is said that it's Act Blue who is funding all of the promotional content against it. And as it was, all the money from BLM went to Act Blue, and all that money from BLM went to Act Blue, and through Act Blue, it went to the Democratic Party. And who runs Act Blue? The same chick that Clinton pardoned that blew up the Capitol building, the Weather Underground. The 2-3 people at the top of Weather Underground are some of the head people in Act Blue. You hear about January 6th. They lit off 17 pounds of plastic explosives, military explosives, in the Capitol building. Like, you don't ever hear that shit.
It's interesting how that story is practically forgotten, isn't it, John?
I didn't even know about it, Sonny. I never knew about it until he pardoned them.
Yeah, very interesting. Here's the thing. Me and Megan yesterday, we were laughing. We'll go like, remember the January 6th hearings? We're like, do you think we're going to have hearings about what's been happening in the past 10 days? Because if I was to say, January 6th was insurrection, we watching one in real time unfolding right now, and they are actually succeeding in their goals. There was no insurrection on January 6th. It was a bunch of angry people maybe doing some stupid shit, but really they were within the framework of free speech and protest and in my opinion, from what I've seen, and how much implants were in there and many other things happening, that's a whole separate conversation. Right? But what's happening now, starting with that Saturday in Pennsylvania, and now what's happening within the Biden's cabinet, and I think what we're about to see in the next 2 weeks, as far as our foreign policy, as far as our fiscal policies, and a few other things, We have straight up in your face January 6th insurrection, coup happening right here in this country as we speak. As we speak. And, as wild as it's going to sound, don't be surprised because for one reason or another, they didn't succeed with Trump that close to Republican National Convention. For Democrats at this point to take Kamala out of the picture, they cannot do it except in one way, which would be similar to what almost happened to Donald Trump. Because, for progressives to remove a black woman from the top of the ticket, this would be within their own party, within their own movement, this would be pretty suicidal move, and it will have repercussions for probably decades to come. Because significant majority of black voters, simply because of that, they would vote, not that they like Trump, but they would give their votes to Trump just to show the powers within the Democratic Party their middle finger if they removed Kamala. Now, I don't believe that she has a chance of winning.
No, they're already rolling. They're rolling.
How and whom they replace her with?
They're rolling polls out already that are showing her at 40 and Donald Trump at 43, which is that's horse shit.
Yeah,
but those numbers are there.
So I think
it's going to make this the most important election of our lifetime because of that 3 point.
It already is. But here's the thing. I think they're gonna pump up the numbers. They're gonna get the enthusiasm within the left high, and then I hope I'm wrong. Something very, very severe may happen, and then a lot of people will go like, yes, now we need unity. Now it's not the time for change, and that's gonna be that.
So Spirko brought up a really good point on his podcast about the state that the Democrats are in, where Joe Biden raised a lot of money for his campaign, and it's the Biden-Harris ticket. And because of how our campaign finance laws are, the only way to keep access to that money for them in campaigning is if Harris is the designated candidate as well.
Yes.
So the thing I don't know is if she gets shot, does that make that money available, or is it just locked up forever?
I don't think it does.
I think that money can be easily. It's not such a big deal. They can transfer that money to National Democratic Committee, and then that committee, DNC, they can distribute that money whichever way they want.
But right now, they can't transfer it till after the election, unless it's Kamala using it.
And is $90 million anything to them, really?
It's not. It's not. Even if it's what they said that they in coffins they have now 263 million compared to Trump's 300 something million. That kind of money with true money that stands behind this process, it's nothing. It can be replaced like that in one day. And if needed, it will be. Plus, you know what? Look, man, the way they manipulated so many things within the process, you think they're not going to find a way to, if they need to, if there is no replacement magically, you think they're not going to find a way to dip into that cash jar? They will. They can keep her at the top of the ticket with her being able to access that money, but all the new donations no longer tied to the Biden's name because she's the candidate. So once the old money is, or their accountants present it as old money has been all taken out, all the new money now is accessible to anyone or whoever is going to be picked as her running mate, which I'm severely worried about Gavin Newsom becoming that guy, because
I don't think Gavin Newsom wants any part of that.
I don't know the guy, but to me, he is a clear and present danger. So
keep in mind, Kamala Harris had evidence that would free, over 100 death row inmates that had DNA showing that they were not guilty of their crimes, and she sat on that shit for up to 20 years and kept people in prison over that. Just look at her record in California.
What race do you think some of those people might have been?
They were almost all black. That's her whole thing. Her and Biden on that crime bill. Yep. And she was the prosecutor for all that. And a lot of it was weed. And she smokes weed.
Yeah, she smokes many things, not just weed.
Yeah, I saw something that said the White House has gone from pee pads to knee pads.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a progress, you have to admit.
Yeah, Montel Williams, Willie Jones, or whatever. There was a third one.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was a Montel Williams girl. Like she was one of the two girlfriends.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you rock your world the way you want to rock your world, but but if you start slinging mud at Trump, or this is his third marriage, he had this, he had that, he's accused rapist, he's accused womanizer and all that stuff, well, then I guess the same measuring stick would be okay applied to you. But since you're a black woman, we can't do it because it's both racist and sexist, right? So it's an interesting game being played with that bullshit, and it's a lot of people are buying it, John. A lot of people are buying it. They in on it. They like, yeah, it's unfair. It's okay to talk about white man, old rich, old dude, all this crap. But a black woman, no, we can't do that. We are too polite of a society, except if it's a white rich man.
This is a good question. Can a former 2-term president run as VP now?
Who's he talking about? Obama?
Probably Obama would be my guess.
There's no fucking way Obama's running as vice president under Kamala. He hasn't even endorsed her. Who knows? There's been crazy. Who knows?
I think there's a deep game going on within the Democratic Party because you have one wing which is still under very strong control of Nancy Pelosi. Then you have a whole separate old school Clinton clique. And I think they no longer on exactly the same page with the Obama grouping. So I think there's a major power struggle going on there, which is potentially good for us. But when three evils within one evil, very unholy trinity, eventually and potentially very soon they're going to come to understanding that they all three need to work together.
That could happen.
This is not about them electing anyone. This is about them not allowing Trump to be elected. This is not election of the president. This is about not electing Trump.
Talk show, Bob Lester. Montel Williams talk show.
Yep. So do you think that the Dems really want to win, though?
Well, I mean,
that's what I keep asking myself. Like, do they really want to win?
That's really what else is going to happen? We don't have, we are presented with these choices within our democracy: shit sandwich or a diarrhea sandwich. And that's what we have. And yes, in many ways, especially when it comes to banking industry, to military industrial complex, to pharmaceutical industry, it's the same people. It's the same people giving the money to both sides. They control both sides equally, and there's not much going to change as far as the foreign policy when it comes to Israel, when it comes to Ukraine, and few other things evolving now, such as Iran. But the way I personally look at it is Trump, if he gets in, it gives us and people that come to Self-Reliance Festival 4 more years to prepare.
That's what I keep saying.
If they keep him alive, it gives us 4 more years to prepare, because the end is inevitable. At this point, it's absolutely inevitable. There is no other outcome. It's just how soon that outcome comes. Would I like to have 4 more years? Yes. I'm not quite where I need to be.
Didn't Klaus Schwab said a week or so ago, if Trump gets reelected, that'll be the end of the World Economic Forum. I think that's who said that.
That's interesting. There's no way that's the end of the World Economic Forum.
There's a lot of interesting things that can happen. There's a lot of interesting things that can happen. And I think what they're very, very scared of, and that's why, the whole thing with Ukraine is they are very scared of actually two pretty damn smart people that look at the world objectively, and they probably both see that American empire as is coming to an end. And I'm talking about Vladdy Daddy, and I'm talking about the Orange Man, Donnie. If those two talk, really talk, that can bring down the World Economic Forum. That can. Because, it's not that far-fetched that fiscal status quo can be changed. And if that changes, World Economic Forum goes out the window.
Yeah, Putin was pretty outspoken against them as well.
Very, very outspoken.
Yeah, just he said labs in Ukraine. He said a lot of the same shit.
I don't think we ever really disband them. They just rebrand. That's
Who's
what
that?
they do. The World Economic Forum.
Yeah, you're right. They just come back under.
They just come back as something else.
Yeah, Agenda 2030 is America 2050 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how they talk about Project 2025, but they don't talk about Agenda 2030, right?
Right, which is now 2050, which is all your smart cities, and it's running rampant, and there are eminent domaining places left and right. All the water closed downs, and if you look at a lot of those, there's massive data centers going in there that require that water.
Yep.
Yeah, where they're getting the most done is at your local level, county and city.
Yeah, even Trump said we'll build massive cities, in the middle where there's nowhere. That's what he's talking about. Those are also going to be smart cities, and that's going to be mega data centers.
Yeah, as I said, to me, Trump is, he's not a savior. He's not. To me, he's a gap that people like us probably could appreciate and hopefully take advantage of that gap in time. He's a delay fuse. He's not a savior.
I don't think there's any stopping the fuse. So, that's
no.
when
There's
you're looking at this situation and like, what do I do? Well, if it's going to blow up at some point, or if we're falling off a cliff, what can you do to make yourself fall less hard? That's what you do.
I'll take the slowdown, and I think it would be beneficial for many people, that 4-year slowdown, that 4-year, gap, to get a little bit more, a little bit better prepared for what's to come, because it's coming whether we like it or not, and whether it's going to come within the next 6 months or 4 years. I think that's the question.
Yeah, I think the real perspective is get tougher. It's not necessarily just pay off your debt and all the other things that needs to happen.
Well, actually, with the whole paying off the debt should not be your primary concern at this point. It should not be your primary concern, because when we come to that point, I would suggest, if you have high debts and all that stuff, especially for your property and things like that, and things that can be tied to your property where they can go after it or whatnot, have some kind of a buffer to take care of it if they push for it, but focus on other things. Because once the collapse starts happening, which I believe will come, they will not have enforcement strength to take it away from you. In essence, you can say that it's a natural bankruptcy court, the societal collapse. Those banks will no longer have enforcement to come after you.
I think we've already started the collapse. I don't think it's so. I think we're in it. I think we're falling right now. We're just not falling very fast, because it's like a slope like this. It's kind of like you're peaking in the roller coaster, and it's possible that that's going to be flat for a little while first before it goes down. But
I'll use you as an example. We are about 5% on the way down to the bottom, but your hair, because of inertia, is still up.
Yeah.
So this is what people see. Everything is still up. Everything is still okay. Economy still functions. Supply lines are still working. Factories are still doing this, businesses are still hiring and all that stuff. Underneath it all, it's absolute rot. It's absolute rot. There is no foundation to keep this up much longer. This is just smoke and mirrors show now. This is just smoke and mirrors show. Is to make it presentable where public doesn't panic and pick up the rifles and it's, tar and feather time.
That's it exactly. Keep you divided so you don't realize you have a common enemy.
Yep.
And at some point they will. Does Sonny have a tactical class of some sort? I think Sonny has multiple tactical classes of some sort. Tell us about that.
Except I don't call any of my classes tactical. I teach people how to deal with violence. You can be tactical about it if you want. You can use language of strategies and tactics and whatnot. It is much deeper than that. It's kind of like a prepper, right? You can have a shed with 6 months worth of food, but zero other arrangements and understanding how it works within the system when the shit starts falling apart, right? So the same in tactical world. A lot of dudes wearing their helmets, their nods, their war belts, their latest, greatest gear and all that stuff. They don't have 1% of what it takes here and here to be a warrior. So that's a cosplay. We have cosplay preppers, we have cosplay warriors. And I'll tell you something else, 95% of them in both categories, that's exactly what they are. They're cosplaying.
Yeah. I guess he wanted more specifically to know if you were doing something at Self-Reliance Festival. So he has updated his question. Sonny has several classes. So we have Fight Hacker Escapology on October 3rd, which is Thursday. That's at selfreliancefestival.com. And then on the 5th, I'm going to get this right. It's the art and science of de-escalation. So that'll also be on the compound, October 4th. Sorry, I said the 5th. And that same day, Sonny's going to be 2 places at one time because we're doing a self-reliance boot camp where he'll do an hour-long session there. So there's lots of opportunities if you want to take classes in Camden, but Sonny also does his own classes.
Yes, most of my classes I teach here in East Texas, but a few times a year I travel. But if we still have 4 more years, I'll be traveling a lot less. I'll be focusing on getting all my stuff set up here the way I want it, the way I need it. And someone made a comment, well, in 4 years, it's going to be new you and you're going to have new goals. I know that. That's the engine that moves us forward. We never arrive. We just move forward. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
No, hopefully that's how life is. Otherwise, you're not living.
Yeah, you might as well call yourself dead.
Yeah. Nothing's a destination except for the grave, I guess.
If you want to look at it that way, I guess, but I'm not even thinking about it. When it comes, it comes. I'm at peace with that. I just do what I can today.
Yeah. So what do you want to change on your homestead between now and 4 years from now, assuming you get that 4-year reprieve?
Well, I will be using one of the fellows that I met at SRF last time. We're going to be doing some solar and battery backups and things like that. I have the thing happening right now with changing our whole septic system. So that is going to be whole new with the things going into the garden and everything is being used and nothing is going to waste and all that. So these are the 2 main projects. And then I want to have, we will be introducing some livestock. That's one of the things that I'm far behind, but I have a bunch of excuses not to have that. I'm just saying that this we will start addressing that with some livestock. We're talking to some neighbors and things like that. And in general, the main thing is really educating, preparing my family more, my kids. That way, they know what to do. They know how to function when things are not the way my kids are used to, and most young people are used to. It's not necessarily toughing them up or whatnot, but just just normal education. We just came back from the homeschooling conference. Actually, we were there in Austin when the assassination attempt happened. So I was leaving Austin on Saturday, and I started getting these messages that there was an assassination attempt on Trump. I'm like, that's pretty funny. And then I look up, real deal. So yeah, we told Nicholas yesterday that he's no longer going back to school. We're starting the homeschooling, so we hooked up with some co-ops here, and it's really cool. So we're switching our life completely further and further away from everything that relies on the system, and starting to live our own system of our community around here. People that think similar ways. I'll be teaching some classes for the kids in the homeschooling environment for self-defense shooting. Well, actually, I'll be talking to you guys in October about maybe we will see how we can. I'll talk to a couple of businesses, maybe sponsor for not the one in October, but the follow-up SRF, to sponsor a small group of kids to bring them into festival there. That way they can see it, and you know what I mean. Just kind of spreading it and growing it, so that the newer generations, they at least they have some grounding, some preparation. How probably they're going to have to live for quite a while. So that's that.
Do you ever do things at home where you just shut off the power for the weekend and see how y'all do, or not?
No, we haven't done it yet. We don't have to do it. It's Texas. Power gets shut off.
Texas
What
shuts off
he
the power
means
for
is what he means is he doesn't have. What he means is he doesn't have to do it anymore. When they got there, none of that shit worked. None of that shit worked when he got there.
It happens organically. You know, I mean, when that hurricane hit near Houston there, it came through. So there was a loss of power for a short time, which is, you know, whatever. But then the rain stopped, the wind stopped, and at like 10 p.m. I hear this huge crash, loud bang come out. Part of the big tree close to our house fell right in between my truck and the house. Did some damage to the cars, but nothing major. So I'm like, all right, there's other things to look through. You know, I need to inspect all of my trees that are close to the house to see how they are and all that stuff. Because, you know, when shit starts happening and then you have tree fall down and damage your roof and your frame or worse, it's probably going to be a little bit harder to go to a building material store to get some lumber to do the repairs. So it's actually probably not a bad idea to stock up on some of things like that as well.
No, yeah, and assessing the trees before the storms hit is a really good idea.
Yeah, and you know, it's we knew that one tree that fell down when we were traveling in California. We knew that one is bad, but also because of the way it was angled, I knew if it falls down, it's not going to fall in the houses. It was so far off axis, I knew it was going to fall into the field, and it did, right? But the other tree, the one that fell down like 10 days ago, it was just slightly crooked and all that stuff, and I didn't think much of it until it happened. So now I'm like walking up, you know, and someone's going to come out, take a look at it, and we'll decide which ones have to come down. And so we're going to have a shit ton of good firewood, and some of the wood we'll use for wood chips. Some of the wood we'll use, you know, I'll buy Nicholas one of those little laser engravers, and we'll start doing like posters and stuff like that. Made in America at Fort Honey Badger from the oak tree that is from Fort Honey Badger. There you go. Very much original product, you know.
So the world's going to change, but it doesn't sound like a terrible world to be in.
It's terrible for those who refuse to accept that the world is always changing. They live in status quo, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's something that I will be talking a little bit during my presentation at SRF, right? And it's the fact that most people on anything, it's kind of like, you know, I participate in things vicariously. You know what I mean? I got exposure to this. I got to touch the survivalist mind. I got to touch the people that know how to fight mind. I got to touch people that know the finances mind. Thus, I know how to survive, do the finances, and fight. No, you touched it. You don't know shit. You know, people don't make commitment to dive into shit and explore it and commit themselves to do something and actually get a wholesomeness of the full picture, right? You know, that whole mindset, which I'm very much against. You know, just tools for your toolbox. Go to this guy, pick up a couple of tools. I want to ask you a question. What is your toolbox? What determines how big it is? You are so fucking limited. You cannot even forget about the tractor. The freaking push mower will not fit into your toolbox. So how are you going to deal with that? Don't you think you should start maybe rearranging how big your toolbox is with an assumption that there are things that you don't know. There are things that you haven't touched yet. There are things that you can sit with John for 2 days and he'll tell you shit about shit that you never thought about. And you're going to go like, oh my God, I never thought about it. Yeah, because you think that you touched, I don't know, a couple of podcasts online or whatnot about the self-reliance and all that, and you're all of a sudden self-reliant. You think that you came to 2-day class with me and you understood that Sonny hits like a truck and you can do wild stuff. That does not make you Sonny, because I put 40 plus fucking years into it. John put lifetime heading in the direction where he is at right now. So just being, touching the button here and there, you're not automatically infected by that knowledge, wisdom, experience of what you have touched. You touched it. That's all you've done. Now, so people need to change their mindset, because it's that, fast food living. No one is committed, disciplined enough to fucking really experience the full taste of this, or the full hardship of that, or what it takes to live this way and be able to sustain your life when the system around collapses. It's just like, let's get some knowledge, some bullet points, and then we can talk about it on social media posts. And here I am. I'm a new expert of survivalism, and everyone listen to me. And here I am starting a new channel, douchebags about survival. Great. Anyway, sorry for the long rant.
It was not off base though, so you're good. So John, you hear all this, what are you thinking?
I mean, just do what you can do. Most people that talk about what they're going to do, I was going to do that. You're not going to do shit. They don't. It's like, Sonny was talking about watching these things vicariously or showing up to some event once or twice. I mean, you can watch the 1,000-mile marathons on TV, but most of those people watching those marathons have never run, much less run a marathon. I mean, there's plenty of shit you can do every day that doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to be fit. It doesn't cost anything to put less trash in your mouth. It doesn't cost anything to, in most cases, to even start a business. Look how many people we're around that always talk about the things they were going to do, and just limit your access to, people. Just get around people that are actually doing things, and then just start doing things. There's plenty of shit we can do. I mean, I'm guilty of it. At 10:30 at night, I get on Amazon and put a couple things in the shopping cart, and I feel good that I've bought these things. But I mean, you can look at my shop. I've got tons of boxes from Amazon. I don't even know what's in half of them. Meanwhile, I can go outside and actually do some shit, or I can go into the gym, or I can, put on a backpack or a ruck and, go move and work on physical fitness. But that requires sweat, and you get dirty, and, it's painful a lot of times. All that shit's free though. Like, you don't have to have that expensive ass backpack. I mean, you just got to go do shit. That's the biggest thing. The difference between the people that you look up to, or that you watch on social media or on YouTube, or I guess that's really where we watch things nowadays. But the difference between those people and the other people is that they just did some shit. Even if it's wrong, some of it, at least they're doing something. They'll get better at it.
Yeah,
well, John, you in large parts, you are the culprit, for me to realize those things in my field, violence and all that stuff. I have pretty clear understanding what it takes. I was just too fucking dumb to realize that it transcends into your daily life, into your business and all that, so you are the culprit that kind of got me to that, where I go like, dummy. Right. And I'm starting to implement things. And like you said, I'm making mistakes, and I catch myself off base because I'm doing something that is not good for me. It feels good, but it's not good for me. It doesn't benefit me or my family or my plans or my future. You know what I mean? It's just waste of fucking time. And I have limited time left. We all have limited time left as individuals, because we're going to die, and as a society, because it's going to fall apart. You know what I mean? So time needs to be sanctified in that sense that, they go like, so what? You're saying I should not devote any time to having fun? I personally have a shit ton of fun planting a fucking tomato. I personally have shit ton of fun writing my book or preparing for my class or doing a push-up or when I'm going to start teaching kids this program that I call, in his image, like father, like son, teaching fathers and sons connect, in the realm of, I'll say it, based on Christian values, but becoming badass mofos while remaining Christian. It's not mutually exclusive. So catching yourself in that idleness, it's only possible when you're already doing things. If you're not doing, if your whole life is idle and it's only what the system tells you, I gotta go to job 9 to 5, I gotta go to the store, I gotta make a payment on my mortgage and all that stuff, you fucking idle in your life and you just working as a slave for the system. Period.
Those are the same people that'll tell you money isn't everything.
Right.
It's the exact same people. Money's not everything, but you go to a place you hate to go for this large amount of your life. You hate to be there. And then you spend all weekend pissing and moaning about the people that you're going to have to see again on Monday. Whereas if you had some money, you wouldn't have to do those things.
And then not having enough money, you're still trying to keep up with the Joneses. Because they bought BMW, you need to buy a fucking Mercedes. No, you don't, douchebag. Buy a 10-year-old truck and do something with it to make more money so you can buy an AK, take a class, learn how to plant a tree, educate your kids proper way.
I love how the first thing on his list is an AK.
I'm slightly biased, right?
You need a piece of property where you don't have a driveway. That way you don't even see your neighbor's driveway, much less we don't even have any driveways. Like we have gravel. But you don't see your neighbor that he has a Mercedes. Like you would be better off with a piece of property than that extra Mercedes. Just get you someplace where you can do what you want to do, even if you're not allowed to do it. Have enough of a barrier where they can't see what you're doing and just do some things and stop asking permission. Just do it.
Yes, Gaines Girl says, I'm not sure I would call it a lot of fun doing what you have to do to escape the system. There are times when it's fun, where you've learned all of these things that people are looking at you like, why would you learn how to make cheese? Or why would you grow plants? And then I had, like last week, I got fire blight on my trees. They could have all died. Turns out you can take lactobacillus and spray it on your trees and it helps them fight that. Well, that means I got to make cheese, use the whey in a spray and go out and save my trees. And it was kind of fun. I was like, sweet, it all came together into one thing. So sometimes the work is work. To the extent you can make the work fun, it's actually not as bad as people think.
And some of those things can be so small, right? So we have always on hand some ginger candy, right? Because it helps if you have upset stomach. When you travel, you don't always get to eat good food, and you stop somewhere, eat shitty food, and your stomach gets upset. So ginger candy really helps to kind of. So Megan goes like, you know what? Screw that. I'm gonna make my own. So we bought the ginger, we have the honey and all that stuff, and she made it, and it didn't come out quite right as far as hard candy, suckable and all that. So it's kind of mushy and all that stuff. But talk about good tasting, potent, kick-ass ginger candy. We have it in the fridge. She had fun making it. She's going to do it again and make it right. That way it's, you know what I mean? Mm. And you go like, well, that's not important. And I go like, yeah, until all pharmacies are no longer existent, and you don't have nothing else, and you and your kids have, because of bad water or bad food or whatnot, and you're miserable and you cannot perform basic duties on your property to sustain yourselves, then it becomes important.
Yeah. And the only way you get your ginger candy perfect is to make that first batch that is not perfect.
That's it. As Jordan Peterson says, you're not going to write the first sentence or the first book perfectly.
No.
Fail, learn from it. That's how it comes. I'm pretty sure John's first thing that he sewn together in his garage was not quite what he does now.
Nowhere near, I'm sure.
Yeah, me and you, Nicole, we talked about it, your first experiences after you started the homesteading and all that stuff. There were a lot of frustrations, a lot of shit where you kind of went like, am I stupid or what for doing this like that, right? But then you learned.
Yeah. And it worked. It just wasn't ideal.
But that's the beautiful part, appreciating the failure and appreciating the mistake, right? And I think it was actually, I don't know if it was Alex Hermosi said or some other older wise man said, but they said always when you fail forward. Always fail forward. Most people, they fail back and they go like, I'm not going to do this again because I failed. No, I fail fucking forward because I learned from this and I'm going to do the same thing, but better.
Yep.
You know?
Jane's girl said, well, sure, like today, being able to have the gas turned on after 3 months because I crawled on my hoo-ha under the house and changed out a bad pipe.
Well, there you go.
See, that may not have been fun when you're on your hoo-ha under the house, but the minute you could turn on your gas and cook or whatever you're using your gas for, I bet you were smiling because you did it. That's the other thing is like, it does feel good to do things that some of us grew up thinking we couldn't do because an expert had to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can change a gas pipe.
No, it's just, I would not hire myself out now as an electrician or plumber or whatnot, but if all electricians and plumbers in the world die, I can take care of shit. I learned it through a lot of mistakes and a lot of wasted PVC pipe and a lot of wasted PEX connectors and everything else, but shit's working now. So.
Yeah, people always wonder what you do to get ready to be on a homestead when you haven't quite found your homestead yet. And I've always said, start homesteading where you are. But the second thing is learn electrical and plumbing, because those skills will never fail you as necessary when you get out on your property. Finding somebody to come out there can take days. And sometimes you just want to fix your stupid well pump.
And carpentry, man. You guys can build a 6x6 or 10x10 shed in the backyard, and you can use it for anything. It doesn't even have to have walls in it. You can just use it as a patio cover. But that's the same thing as building a chicken coop. It's the same thing as building a crib for your wood. It's the same thing as building a storage shed. It's all the same, man. We used to have books. Like we didn't have any videos where you could go watch these dudes do it. We didn't have screw guns. You had to use a hammer to put that shit together.
No, and it wasn't like one book that combined everything, like
no, yeah.
Like 101 carpentry for idiots.
Yeah,
those books didn't exist back then. You had to buy 6-7 different books to get this and that from there, right? Now it's all combined into one, and you click on Google search.
Same thing with the 1978 Honda XL 175. You had to have the Honda manual, you had to have the Chilton manual, and you had to have the Climber manual, because all three of them had something a little bit different about how to get that timing chain in there set after you were trying to put that head back in after you did the piston. Like, it's just out of necessity. We used to have to do that shit. Now everything's disposable. Look how many people don't change their own tire on the side of the road. Like, you have a service that comes and does that.
No, people will wait 2 hours in the freezing fucking rain for someone to drive up to change their damn wheel.
Yeah.
I've seen it myself. It's wild. By the way, John, I saw in comments, I don't know if it's actual from the news, they said that Secret Service director got fired. So.
Yeah, I saw it.
I don't know if she was fired or stepped down. Stepped down.
Yeah, stepped down.
Yeah. I guess we know how that goes.
Yeah, I explain always when I knock people down to the ground that they have laid down.
Okay, here's a question for you, Sonny. What books do you recommend for an SHTF library?
Oh, I think at this moment you have two people in front of you, and me not the one who can give you better recommendations, and that's Nicole and John.
I'll go first.
I'm pretty much comparing to these two folks. I'm a beginner in the self-reliance world. Now, if you're talking shit hits the fan more in the sense of fieldcraft, we can talk about it. That's separate deal. But John also has Scully very often, and Scully is pretty well versed in some of those things. And I would suggest you listen to when they talk, because for one, it's good info. Two, it's always entertaining with Scully.
You gotta reach down super deep and get out your VHS tape, and you got to find Navy CQB, SEAL Team CQB. What's the other one, Sonny? Dave Maynard, Mike Sneed. Believe you were in some of those.
Yes. Well, Dave Maynard was a partner with Ken Good, who used to be one of my best friends back. That's before they even went to work and they started Surefire Institute. It was called Combative Concepts or something. So
Yep,
that was
that's
Ken
exactly.
Good and Dave Maynard. It was interesting. Just recently, I taught a class in California, and one of the students that came out there, he studied with Maynard, for a long time, and so we had an interesting chat. But yeah, there's, if you look back at the days of Paladin video and Paladin books, and there were some things there, like things that you can no longer find, like Anarchist Cookbook, like things
Yep.
like that is now
Oh, you can find it.
forgotten. Oh, you can find it if you look hard enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
But most people don't look hard enough, don't work hard enough, don't try hard enough because they have accepted their role as the slave who's going to be fed by a system from a freaking milk bottle. They accepted that role and they are comfortable slaves. They have a car, they have apartment or house, they go on vacation once a year, and they're not starving. Life is good, right? No, you're a slave in a higher end prison.
What's that really big book, Nicole, that you recommend? I just bought it that was spiral bound. I've got 2 or 3 copies of it. There you go. That's every one of you guys should have that. You will see that out there for $100. If you look around, you can find it for $35, $50. Get you a copy of that, whether it's spiral, whether it's paperback. That's a great start right there.
It's $16.89 on Amazon today, 44% off. The
But that's
Instability of Country Living by Carla Emery. There's another one by a different name, by a different author. This one's better. And it just basically tells you how to do anything.
I'm actually ordering one as soon as we're done with this live feed. I'm ordering.
I'll send you the link, Sonny.
That's a print book. Every one of you should buy that for $16. That's actually a print book.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get the one, you can get it the other way, but you want this one in print.
Okay. No, I don't like audiobooks. I do like hard copies of things. I do like to immerse myself back because on audio, I did a couple of videos on that. I'm like, yeah, if I'm listening to, let's say, podcast or something like that, and I'm working at the same time, it's acceptable. If I'm working out and I'm at the same time listening to music, now this is just my opinion. You are neither focused on workout nor the music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, that music I don't need to focus on. So why are you listening on something that stupid? Why are you listening to Taylor Swift while trying to bench press 350? You know what I mean? Because if I listen to Tool or Perfect Circle or Puscifer or Beethoven or Mozart or Tchaikovsky or whatnot, it takes my full attention to really appreciate what's within that music. I have to be in it. I have to sit down with the headphones and immerse myself in it. If I'm doing a fucking push-up and I want 100% return from that push-up, I have to be 100% in it. I have to pay attention to my wrist. I have to pay attention to rotation, where my shoulders at, where my shoulder blades. I have to be in it if I want a best product. John is not eating with one hand fucking sushi, with the other hand sewing together $400 backpack, because he ain't gonna come out as $400 backpack and he's gonna drop half the fucking sushi.
I was told by a little 120-pound girl right before we got on here that how to do push-ups, and I'm like, "Where'd that come from?" She's like, "Oh, Sonny says that." I'm like, "Okay, then he's right."
Great.
Yeah,
I will confess, I totally listen to music while working out as a way to trick myself into working out every day.
I do.
As I said, at some point, some people they need that external motivation, and if it's a heavy metal or if it's some other music that motivates you, that gets your juices pumping, I get it. I mean, but when I see people that are already in the circuit, so to speak, you know what I mean, and they're claiming that they're trying to reach a higher level of performance, higher level of function, and they still listening to that dumb fucking doom metal from Norway with a bunch of 40-year-old angry men who pretend to be Satanists because they hate God, because God was not good enough of them while he was a lazy loser fucking using too many drugs, and that's why he's still a loser. You know what I mean? And they growling about, fuck Jesus Christ, and you go like, dude, how does that make your lift or cable pull or whatnot better? Why do you need that distraction? Because to me, that tells me that this is how you approach a lot of things in life. You're easily distractible. I cannot go to war with you.
Somebody had asked about a 90s set of encyclopedias. You can get them very easily. They are all over Marketplace. And if you look around, you can find some that are pre-50. And there will be very different from the 90s, as will the 70s. Like anytime you're in a big used bookstore, you can generally find a set of encyclopedias. Look up the same topic in 3 different years, and they will say very vastly different things. But they're out there, and you can find little old women that just want to get rid of them, and you can find people that realize what they have. You can pay a few $100s for a set, and you can pay thousands of dollars for a set of encyclopedias. But I look at them very frequently on Marketplace, and there are hundreds of them out there, as well as eBay.
That's one of the things that when I'm going to go back to the home country, back to Lithuania, that's one of the things that I'm going to try to dig out is since my dad and then my mom died, some of my relatives picked up all of their old books that they had, and they had encyclopedias from very, very old stuff. And yes, some of them are in Russian or Lithuanian language, but information is translatable. It's not a problem. But I'm going to try to pack all that shit up and bring it back here. So
You're gonna have a heavy bag on the way home.
I'll pack it up as the aid for Ukraine, and we'll ship it for free.
Yeah.
Somebody said, "What's a good backpack to start rucking?" It doesn't matter, man. Just put some weight in that thing.
Get any bag.
Yeah, if it's inexpensive, it's going to fall apart. Some of them aren't. If we're really worried about it, put a sandbag in there. That's going to have some rounder edges. It's going to hold together better, and it's not going to damage the bag from the inside out as much. I build backpacks. They're $350, $400, $500. You don't have to have one of those. Go get you a $100 backpack, a $50 backpack, whatever your kid has. There's one right there that I made. And just put some weight in that thing. You can also use different sizes of weights. You can use little bags filled up with sand or gravel. Wet sand weighs more. If that's too heavy, once that's full, because when the bag is full, it's going to ride a little bit better. So you can fill that up with corn. You can fill that up with wheat. You can put a lot of different stuff. If you do that, be aware that it will attract rodents, and rodents will damage that bag. So if you're going to do that, keep it inside of a trash can or something. I just say that because I know Lance had a bunch of workout bags, and I put gravel in mine, and he had corn and different things, and those rodents will eat that thing to pieces.
I have a solution. 60 loaded AK magazines.
Yep. But for all you guys that are like, I don't have loaded mags or I don't have ammo, you can find stuff all over around you at the park or the playground, wherever, and you can fill up little bags, and you can have plenty of weight. You don't have bags, use socks. Put a sock inside of another sock. You don't have that, Ziploc bag, put that inside of a sock, fill that bag up. Everything you can, every excuse we have why we can't afford to do it, it's all doable for free.
Yeah. They even make like vests that you can put weight in.
But you don't have to buy it. But you don't have to have that. You can do it for something you already have free.
Here's the thing. Pick up 16 kilogram or 35-pound fucking kettlebell and hold it in your hands and go for a fucking 3-mile hike.
Wheelbarrow.
You'll fill that one the next day.
You will. Fill a wheelbarrow up full of water. Fill it full of wood mulch, wet sand, and go walk that motherfucker around the neighborhood for a mile. You will just grab 20-pound dumbbells. Just some 20-pound dumbbells and go walk for a mile. You won't make it. You won't make it a quarter mile the first time.
You want challenge? Take the 5-gallon fucking plastic jug, fill it halfway with water, and holding it here. Go for 1.5 miles.
One hand, not two. Don't equal it out. Switch back and forth.
John, let's be nice to people. Let's start easy. No, but when you go and focuses and that water is fucking sloshing around in that and all that stuff, you're gonna get workout that's gonna be way beyond what your lazy ass tells you. You know, like, well, I don't have time for the gym.
This particular rep happens on my homestead a lot.
Yeah, it's farm fit, man. It's different than standing there equal weight in the hands in the gym. When you're twisting and you're throwing bags of feed, that's engaging muscles that you are not using in the gym.
There's a reason why they refer to that as farmer strength, right?
Yeah, farm fit. Yep. We don't need CrossFit.
Oh, no.
Oh, weightlifting's good too, even if you do farm fit.
All of it is. I have a whole gym here.
You have a nice gym there.
No, but here's the thing. He has the gym, but he also uses the gym, and he encourages others to use it. I know so many people that I see them weekly, sometimes 3 times a week, spending 2-3 hours a day in discussions about this red dot versus this red dot, this light versus that light. How about this kind of stippling work on your Glock versus this stippling work? What about this color for your camo spray on your AR-15 or whatnot? And once a year they attend the class. But then also once a week, they criticize what others do. This douchebag, this idiot has zero clue at what level many people operate. Yet he feels that he's entitled enough and qualified enough to make fun and bash people and this and that. Oh, this guy is full of shit. This stuff would never work in reality. Dude, your reality exposure is 2 days a year when you go to class, by the way, which is not reality. It's a cosplay.
You'll never find a successful person talking shit to somebody else ever, especially on the internet. And and I was just trying to help you. If you were just trying to help, you would have done it in private.
Yeah. Like they asked Ferrari, they go like, why Ferrari doesn't have TV ads? Ferrari's answer is people that buy Ferraris don't watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I never did understand why people pay for gym memberships. There's always labor to do. I paid for one because people would call me if I did not show up at that gym. And that helped me get my butt to the gym.
It is said that 90% of the gym memberships don't attend the gym. In the 90s, gyms were failing. When they came out with auto debit, that's what saved the gym industry. If you look at YMCA gyms, family fit, like YMCA gyms, most of the equipment in there, they changed it over 2 years, and most of that stuff is brand new. And that's because 90% of the people that pay to maintain and go to that gym don't attend the gym. So the equipment is typically pretty new when it gets switched over.
Yeah. No, gym can be a good step. Gym, it's really doesn't matter. I say, yeah, my opinion, no, you don't need a gym. For some people, it works. It's the process. It's like the smoker, right? It's not so much tobacco; it's the process of doing this thing, right? So for some people, it's that process of getting ready, packing your bag, putting your shit, getting your drink mixed up, your protein, your creatine, whatever else the hell you're using, right? Going to the gym, getting in there, saying hello, getting to this machine, smelling that rubber and steel and all that stuff, and doing your shit, right? It's okay. It's a procedure that people got used to, and it makes them feel like this is my place. It's fine. Eventually, you should develop enough discipline to where you are in your office, where you are in your bedroom or whatnot, and you feel like the most terrible thing is happening to you. You have idle time. Oh my God, I have nothing to do. Fucking push-up time, brother. Right there, right now. Instead of going... It doesn't matter. You can do one quality push-up that lasts 2 minutes. 1 minute down, 1 minute up.
Yeah, I've ran into some of your students. What was their goal? 1,000 a day? Is that what the goal was?
Well, no, I told them it needs to be. No, they accumulated, like in some classes they accumulate like 7,400 push-ups.
Yeah, no, and I saw him doing it, man.
They accumulated because they were missing shots, they were shooting no-shoot targets, they were doing other things, and there's penalty for all those things. So at the end of the class, I go like, okay, your total is 7,482 push-ups, and you have 7 days to do it.
Well, he didn't tell me that. He just said he had 1,000 push-ups to do.
So he probably broke it down, yeah. So, and I tell him, and I go like, look, just like when you're banging your wife, I'm not going to be standing with the candle at the foot of your bed and watch. I really don't give a shit if you do those push-ups or if you don't, or if you bang your wife proper or not. It's none of my business. I'm telling you, you will benefit if you do them.
Well, he did them.
Look at it as a present. Look at it as a gift. I know Lewis does it.
Yep, that's who I'm talking about.
I know a number of other people who do it, but I know more people that don't. And it's okay. This is the beauty of fucking free choice. This is, you know what I mean? You have that free will. Destroy yourself or build yourself.
It shows.
It shows.
You can see it. You know it when you meet a person.
I mean, I'm going to see Lewis again on Friday, because he's coming to my class in Ohio, and then, he's going to start teaching some of his own classes, and I'm going to help him with some curriculum stuff and all that stuff. I know that dude is dedicated. I know that dude does the shit that I tell him to do, and probably in the process, he sometimes fails. That's why he's going to be fucking good. Because he fails forward. He doesn't fail back. He doesn't quit because he failed. You know, and when you meet people like that, you do want to support them. You need to cherish that because it's minority. It's freaking minority.
Yeah, he was inside when I walked out here.
Cool. Well, say hello to him. Well, I'll see him Friday anyways. We're staying in the same hotel room, and so he's probably going to be buzzing my ears off, which is fine. No, I love Louis. Louis is a great student, great people, and so I'll enjoy it.
Here's a question. What do you think of old school grass drills, rolling on tough dirt and grass to toughen skin, etc.?
Wonderful. Do it.
We just used to call that smear the queer.
It was just normal shit that you do. It's like you didn't have a choice what the surface has to say.
Yeah.
The surface is gravel. Okay, I need to get there without someone shooting at me with the fucking airsoft guns or slingshots or whatnot. I got to be low. That means I got to crawl on the gravel, and I need to crawl fast. That means I'm going to be bleeding and have scratches. Fun. Cool. All of a sudden now it's like, oh man, I'm going to ruin my clothes. That's what you're worried about? That you're going to ruin your $200 pants or whatnot? Come on, cupcake. Come on. You know, it's so much tough talk, but so much pusillanimous personalities out there. You know, and it's ridiculous. We're laughing about these millennials with skinny jeans and man buns and all that stuff, you know, and I go like, take a look in the mirror. You should not be laughing at those kids because you should be laughing at yourself, how pathetic you are. And you are from the top generation. I'm Gen Xer and this and that. And I go like, you were born in the top generation, but the way you live now, there's nothing left of it.
Yeah, the system took so much time trying to protect them that we weakened them. There are no calluses. There's no scars on the knuckles. They've never been pushed in, you know, in flag football. None of them have ever been tackled for real. They've definitely never been in a fist fight. And then we punish them and remove them from school and even put them in juvenile hall in some cases. And I'm not talking about bullying. I'm talking about two boys squaring off and handling their own problems.
Do you ever look at old photographs of people like from 100 years ago and notice that a lot of people aren't wearing shoes? They were running around barefoot everywhere.
Everywhere.
Just walking normal pace, running, whatever, through the woods,
and
down the
it's
street
funny,
in the city, whatever.
It's funny you say that, Nicole. Like out here in the country, our neighbors, when they come over to whatever, to chat or to, you know, to pick something up or whatnot, they two little kids, they're like 4 and 6 or whatnot. You know, you would say like, oh, look at these hillbillies. Those kids look dirty and all that stuff. They're barefooted on the grass, on the gravel, on the fucking mud and all that stuff. And I look at it and I go like, God bless these people. This is awesome.
Why do you think that was, Nicole? Is it because we didn't have cities and pavement as much, or it was more commonplace, or we just didn't have shoes? What do you think the big demarcation there is?
I think it's that your shoes were more precious, and so you would think about where you would wear shoes if you had them. That's what I think. Okay. And so why would you run around in the woods doing all this stuff when you can just do it barefoot?
I
get your shoes all dirty.
I also think like glass was very important then. We weren't just breaking it, like we cherished it. Like, I mean, a syringe was a dowry that got passed down.
Yes.
When you got married. That was something that you couldn't, none of that stuff was disposable back then. And now, I mean, even here, walking around on the property here, I still pick glass up every day just from assholes that were out here breaking it, 10, 20 years ago.
I don't know, man. I think, I know it's a cliche, but as life becomes easier with more luxuries, with more offerings, with more options, people do become softer. As parents, we start failing because we want to coddle our kids and don't allow them to suffer as we suffered, without realizing that we're removing probably the most valuable lessons in life by not allowing them to suffer and fail and learn. That's why these kids, I was at that homeschooling conference, and it was very interesting thought. I never, thought about it myself. Where one of the professors who wrote a number of books for homeschooling programs, he says, you know why so many boys play games, computer games? Because this is the only place they can take risks and fail.
Mm.
Because we no longer allow him to climb in the tree and yell at the top of a tree with his penis out, pissing down on the grass because he conquered something. He overcame the risk, the danger, and he's fucking celebrating like a savage. Now his celebration is in front of a fucking Xbox because he killed 16 monsters on the planet XYZ. You know what I mean? But it's vicarious living because there is no real consequence. It's all in that, you know, in the web space. There is no real consequence. You're not gonna fall out of the tree and break your fucking foot. Your friends from down at, you know, at the foot of the tree will not shoot you in your little wiener when you're pissing down, and you're gonna find out that, you know, I should have used better cover. I mean, it's all been removed. They live in the fucking greenhouses. They don't know the wilderness. They don't know the savagery. They don't know the joy of overcoming and risking that shit.
Yeah, we played BB gun wars before there was ever paintball. I shot John Wilson's tooth out with a BB gun. I shot Mike Wilson in the shoulder. This scar on the tip of my nose is a BB. Just in reply to his comment there. Yeah, things were different, man.
That's awesome.
And we just threw pine cones at each other in my neighborhood.
We did. We had magnolias, and you'd pop that top off, and it was a grenade.
Yeah, that was.
You know, so it's, I don't know, man. You know what I appreciate about, you know, like we're going to be coming again to SRF, our third SRF, is that there's folks that maybe, you know, they started on self-reliance path and all that, but the density or the concentration of people willing to listen to this, willing to reconsider how they live and even how they think and what their aim is in life. You know what I mean? To become a little bit more into nature, to become a little bit, for the lack of a better term, closer to God, which involves bruises, which involves running barefooted over the fucking gravel and allowing your kids to do the same. You know what I mean? We need more of that shit. We need more of that shit, and the sooner the better.
Yeah, John's gravel is very intense too. Just
It's
be
good.
aware.
Oh yeah,
It's good.
yeah.
It's
Every
good.
time I go there, I'm like, this is the true test of my shoes.
Escapology class will be on that gravel.
Yeah, you want to toughen up. Try walking barefoot in that shit.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe I should put a $50 extra discount if you're going to take the whole class barefooted.
Shit.
You can get ready for that now. Just walk everywhere barefoot now, and then it won't be as bad because that's how that works.
Like walking on fire.
Czech people will sell a lot of medical gear, a lot of, you know,
Yes,
bandages.
you will.
So it's kind of like, you know, it's capitalism. Business
Yes,
enhances
you will.
other business, and
Yeah. I think that works.
Amanda's natural remedies will come in on the, you know, handy and all that. So,
Yep.
cool.
Also, in unconfirmed news, apparently Jimmy Carter died.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know
It's
he's still alive.
I
It's
don't
an
know.
event.
Somebody said it in the comments, so I don't know. I don't see.
It's an eventful day. Secret Service director gets fired. Jimmy Carter dies.
Let's not. You know, it's unconfirmed. So let's
It's only
just
2
see.
p.m. Jeez.
Oh, fake Jimmy Carter death. See, it was unconfirmed. And it is still unconfirmed, and apparently he's not dead.
Somebody says some doctors are starting to tell their patients to wear shoes because it's not good to go without the support of a shoe. On the other hand, a lot of doctors are telling you to take statins, which if you're not familiar with, you should look into the effects of statins. And the test from 1964, the last study that was unconclusive when they started actually creating statins, and you should look at what it does to the matter in your brain from taking statins. If you know anybody on statins or you yourself are on statins, you really should look into this further.
Wait a second now. Are these the same doctors from the same industry that told us to put that thing for the past 3 years into our system?
Yeah,
These are
aren't they on their 15th booster right now?
Something
15?
like
I think
that.
it was 15.
So yeah, I certainly will go ahead and listen to what they have to say about my footwear to support my fucking ankles. Yeah.
Yeah, and how
Cool
many
job.
doctors tell you go barefoot because that's what's messing you up? Like when you're going in there for knee problems and hip problems, they're like, well, your shoes put your feet in the wrong position.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I get it. If you do some hardcore hiking on the very high end of difficulty hiking trails or you know, in the wilderness, yes, you do want good support and all that stuff. If you tactical freaking operator doing the entries, you know, whatever, yeah, you do want something. Flip flops is probably not your most, optimal footwear. But this whole thing of, I would ask the question to those doctors, why you think my feet are fucked up to begin with? That I need
And
all
then,
that.
and then you go see a podiatrist and they make these braces and this crazy shit. It's like some torture devices for you. Could you imagine? I mean, holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those devices would look good in your collection because it would like add that little BDSM flavor to it. You know what I mean?
I have a bunch of polio braces and stuff, Forrest Gump shit.
Yeah. So what do you
Yeah,
think we
man.
could do to have the kids nowadays have a similar childhood as us? I am able to help my kids
What do you
experience
think we could do to have kids nowadays to have similar childhood as us? I'll
I
tell you
think
what. we
do
can
it. Create that environment for them.
Yeah, remove them from that freaking, that guarded environment. And it's hard for me. I have a 2-year-old and she does something stupid. She stands on something high without support and she's wobbling. And I go like, Aria, don't do that. And then, and I go like, oh, fuck. Why am I protecting her from falling forward and learning a lesson? I mean, but that's, motivation is right, but having presence of mind to go like, let those kids experience and live through it. It's not easy. You have to be attentive to it. You have to pay attention, not to become that fucking helicopter parent that prevents your kids from experiencing life, learning life, and then they don't know how to live when adulthood hits them in the face.
I guess,
them out-
Derek, you're going to need to bring your kids to SRF to meet other kids who do fun outdoor stuff.
Take them outside. Your kids are going to emulate what you do. Take them outside. Let them play outside. Let them build forts. Let them learn things. Let them get scrapes and bruises. Stop sending them to government school. If you really look at how much a teacher has your child, and most of these teachers, you wouldn't want to hang out with them on the weekend. We send our kids to government school to be raised by people that hate our way of lives. And then we act surprised when our kids don't want to do what we do. So you have to raise your kids and you have to get your children around people. If you're not going to raise them, you're not going to educate them. You have to get them in a private school of some sort or some kind of co-op to where the people raising them have your beliefs.
And if you have trouble finding other families that have children that like being outside, start looking for families that do homesteading. Get connected to those communities.
That's what I tell my students. I said, SRF, yes, it's not tactical conference. It's not going to be about slinging knives and cutting throats and all that. I'm like, you're going to meet people. You're going to establish connections with the community that you will want to be connected in the years to come. That's even besides of what you can learn from these people and information you can gather. And, now like having some, phone numbers and emails and all that stuff from the people that I met there, I go like, I know people that I met, shook hands with, and that if I have a question about this, I'll call and I'll get fucking direct answer without someone going, well, see, you have to have engineer evaluate this and that first, and that's going to be $450, and then you have to. No, you're going to get straight up shit outside of the system. So when people go like, yeah, what am I going to do there? Just bunch of survivalist prepper types with their little. No, it's a lot more than that.
It's very different than that.
It's your kind of people that you want around you.
Yeah.
You can go like bushcrafting too. The more you know, the less you have to have. I watched a winter survival class that Cody went to. He was 9 years old. They were at TAC Response, and he had all these guys come in, and they had Range Rovers and Bentleys, and they brought in these big ass backpacks. He said, go get all your gear. And they brought all their gear inside. He goes, okay, now let's go look at your cars. And they closed the door and said, all that shit you just put inside, that's not going with us. And they went out. It was snowing. And they went out to the range and they did a winter survival class, and they did dug-ins, and they had fires, and they gathered dry tinder. And when I went out there on Sunday, like everything was frozen, and they had fish that was roasting on spits, and nobody was cold. Everybody had, like charcoal on them and shit. Yep. And they lived out of these little survival tins. Russ Kalkman taught that class. It was WETSU. It stands for We Eat This Shit Up. And it was just some wilderness shit. They didn't have any of that, all those big Kafaru and Mystery Ranch bags and all the sleeping bags. None of that shit went out there on the range with them. And they all had a blast. It was amazing to see what they had built out of nothing.
It's interesting that adults don't appreciate how enthusiastic kids get when you actually allow them to face and deal with challenges.
Yep. They're not
And
going to
how
freeze to death.
no, and how actually lethargic they get when there is no challenge in life.
Yeah. Take away
Because this is what they go for. They're gonna go for that fucking iPhone, and they're gonna get, after 8 hours of that teacher who's ruining your kid from the system, they're gonna spend another 4 hours in front of this.
Yeah, turn this thing off, take away the pacifier, remove all the sugar and all the bullshit, and just let them be in the wilderness. Even if that's your backyard, let them camp out in the backyard over the weekend and see what happens.
But John, what if my kids get bit by a scorpion? There are remedies for that.
Well, what it really is a lot of the parents don't want to do that. They can't do it themselves.
Yeah, we used to go to camp. Like we had camp outings in school where we go away for 4 days.
Yeah.
And
with the tents, with the, with all
you
that
showed
stuff,
up with what you
all
had,
the water, you had to do all that shit.
Yeah.
There was no bottled water. You had to get it from the lake or a stream or whatnot, boil that water, prepare your food, chop up the wood. Oh, it's wet. Okay, figure out how to start the fire. And it was some of the most memorable experiences because that experience was filled with challenge and overcoming a fucking challenge.
Yeah, somebody said their kid takes a drink out of the bottle of water and leaves it. Take away their access to the bottled water. Give them a bottle of water with their name on it. You have to bring this bottle back. Give them a roll of toilet paper. This is each of your roll of toilet paper. When you want a new one, you have to bring the core back. Like those are boundaries that you set. You can fix all of those. You want to know how much toilet paper you want to know how much toilet paper you need for a year? Give each of the people in the house a roll of toilet paper with the date, and they have to turn it back in, collect those in a bucket, do the math, and figure out how much toilet paper you need for the actual projected year off of, 30 days or 90 days. You'll also figure out who's using all the toilet paper and who doesn't use it. We did that. That's how we knew how much toilet paper. I bought 10 years worth of toilet paper.
See, and that alone, this 1 minute rant by John, this should be fucking taught in school. This should be taught in school. Kids should know that this is approach to your home life. This is approach to how you become not wasteful. This is, hey, save the planet. John just did.
If you're not willing to do it yourself, you can't. That's why your kids won't do it, because you didn't set the example.
Yeah. Well, and then like the experience that you were talking about, like it's raining, so I guess we have to make a fire to get warm or to dry things out. Mm-hmm. When the kids go through that experience, future them, when they are faced with something, have developed a pragmatic, there's a problem, I'm going to find a solution. It's not even that they know that fire can help dry out wet clothes or make you warm in the woods. It's that the problem of being wet and cold can be solved rather than complaining about it, panicking because the roof's leaking. Like, how many times have you seen people, something like that happens and there's lots of screaming and freaking out about something, which is a waste of time. It's time to figure out how to change your reality from whatever's going wrong.
Well, like Alex Hermosa said in one of his podcasts, where he goes like, there's two ways to look at anything that happens in your life. Oh, it's a tragic event, or you say, shit happened. What do I do about it? And for a lot of kids, the only way they look at anything that happens that is outside of their control, it's a tragedy. And that tragedy is not resolvable. Someone from the outside, parents, school system, police officer, has to come in and resolve it for them.
Well, they were taught that.
Yeah.
They're only going to do what they had as an example.
Yep. Back to the plastic bottles. Amanda says, I didn't drink out of a plastic bottle till I was in high school. I had a cup in the kitchen sink.
Well, look how much stuff, we're being told is poison now. Just over and over and over. And the things we've been told for the last 5 years were good for you, you're now told are full of toxins. Look at the salts coming out that are supposed to have heavy metals in them, like real reputable brands that were supposed to be good for us. And even then, do they really have heavy metals? Just because some YouTuber told us that.
You can do your own test for that.
Yeah.
It's not that expensive.
Yeah, I'm saying you should.
Yeah.
Find out for yourselves.
Find
You
out
can
what's
get
in your water.
And just because you have a water filter, that doesn't mean it's pulling the chlorine out. Like they don't even use chlorine anymore. It's chloramine and bromine now that they're putting in water.
Yeah,
You can get you can get a test kit to find out what's in your shit. You'll be really surprised to find out the water coming from the rain is full of toxins too.
Especially if you live in the city.
Yeah.
That's how we clean the air.
Yeah, the food pyramid. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the food pyramid.
Yeah, somebody put out a keto food pyramid, but they did it wrong. But it was all meat on the bottom and then all fruit. And I was like, but the fruit part of that's wrong. But yes.
Well, I mean, Captain Crunch is healthier for you than steak now. Come on.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well, it's
we're talking
definitely
about,
safer to have a prepackaged Twinkie than to eat
interesting. We're talking about food pyramids because I'm about to place an order for another half a cow. So
Nice.
How long does it take your family to go through half a cow?
it's hard to say because we replenish obviously before we run out. So I would say probably 4.5 to 5 months. But it's not just a cow because we also have,
Right.
chicken and lamb and, and other things. And we eat a lot of fish and that kind of stuff. But Megan is, not completely carnivore diet, but very close to it. So she eats a lot of meat. Me, Nick, and Aria, we certainly not opposed to meat every day, but we don't do it every day because it's just too much work for me to cook every day because I'm the one who has to cook it. And but yeah, half a cow, it's about between 4 and 5 months. So that's family of 2 adults, 1 kid who's 15 years old, and 1 child who eats like 15-year-old, but she's 2. That's Aria, my daughter. So
Yeah. No, I'm just always curious what people go through because we go through darn near a cow and a half here a year.
okay.
And Tactical eats like 3 people. So I think that's
So again, I guess it depends on what's the spread on different other things that you eat because we do buy quite a bit of lamb. We use a lot of chicken, some turkey, and fish is pretty big thing in our diet as well. So
Paul Harvey said they did a study with mice that said the box the cereal came in was healthier than the cereal in the box.
I don't doubt that. I don't
Cardboard bread, baby.
Yep, probably true.
All right, well, let's go once around the horn and promote what we want to promote and get on our saddles and head out. What do you got for us, Sonny?
What do I got for you? Well, gospelofviolencepodcast.com. It's paid. It's not free, and it never will be. If you want less entertainment, less filler, and more uncomfortable truths, that's the place. You also get some discounts for training. That's the only time I offer discounts is for people that do things like that. I don't offer July 4th discounts, Secretary's Day discounts, the Pride Month discounts. I don't do that. So that's that. Hopefully, God willing, at SRF in October, my first book will be making its debut. And it's called Don't Be a Shitty Student. It's going to offend a lot of people, which is one of my goals, to offend as many people as possible. And other than that, it's just I'm involved with what I'm involved with. I'm doing my training, sonnypuzikas.com. You can look up at the classes, from violent classes to talking classes to de-escalation classes. All that is still available while I'm still moving and breathing, which is still going pretty well. I will be at SRF in October. As Nicole said, I'll be teaching 2 classes prior to SRF and then doing presentation in the company of very esteemed presenters there at the Self-Reliance Festival. And I think that's that. And yes, for the next plug, I do have a lot of SOE gear. And yes, I didn't bring it here to the coffee shop to promote it or whatnot. This is actually my travel bag where my laptop and my peripherals sit.
It's your EDC.
And my
So that's
other
pretty-
smaller bag is in the truck. That one has about 6 of the Glock 33 round magazines, medical gear, smoke grenades, flashbangs. Oh wait, I should not have a flashbangs. Anyway, things that go out and other stuff. And so yeah,
I am now going to call all flashbangs things that go loud.
there you go.
That's the new code name. Okay, John, I'm going to go and let you wrap up. So, guys, this week, if you're not sure what Self-Reliance Festival is all about, we've got a webinar series that launches on Friday, Self-Reliance Voices, Learn from Legends. It starts Friday at 7 p.m. and we go for 4 days. You'll be hearing from Jack Spirko, Bear Independent, Billy Bond, a whole bunch of really cool people, and it's free. So if you go to selfreliancefestival.com/webinar, that's where you can sign up. And then we'll send you links to the Zoom webinar. And if you're not able to be on them live, you have access to the recordings for a couple weeks. So definitely get that done. I'm going to hand it to you, John.
SOE Tactical Gear is the website. On this YouTube channel that I'm broadcasting from right now, I do a live every night at 9 o'clock. You guys can jump on there. We talk about anything you want, light politics, current events, homesteading, a lot of business stuff, really anything you want to. So you can jump on there and talk to me and about 100 other guys that are on there every night. That'll ebb and flow. It usually goes up to 600, 700,000. And we've usually got upwards of 100,000 people that are on there every night. So jump on, you'll meet a lot of people. You'll meet people that are literally 5-10 minutes away from you. Be cognizant that there's a lot of weirdos in the world. So be careful who you invite to wherever it is you're inviting them. But just a lot of like-minded people, man. And a lot of business happens from there. So jump on there and we'll see you guys tonight.
Make it a great week, guys.
See ya.